It's said by Bobby Jones that golf is a game that is played on a 5-inch course, that is the distance between your ears. And it is my pleasure to introduce a session that goes beyond the fairways and greens, exploring the mental, emotional, and philosophical depths of golf, the inner game. The philosophy of golf is described as a gentleman's game, but at its core, it is a game of the mind. More than physical skill, golf demands patience, strategy, self-discipline, and mental resilience. It is a sport where composure and concentration matter as much as technique does, where the greatest battles are often fought with oneself. The sport has long been associated with meditation, mindfulness, and self-mastery, concepts that resonate far beyond the golf course. It teaches grace in failure, humility in success, and the ability to stay present in every shot. But how does one truly master the inner game of the golf? To discuss this fascinating intersection of sport, psychology, and philosophy, we have with us three esteemed panelists, Amandeep Johl, Nanaki Chadha and Omar Faruq Ali. I would request you all to please come on the stage with us. And a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Amandeep Johl ji is a renowned professional golfer, coach and mentor who has represented India on some of the grandest golf stages. With decades of experience both as a player and as a mentor to aspiring golfers, he understands the psychological battles and strategic intricacies that define the sport. His insights into the mental discipline required for golf make him a respected voice in this field. Nanaki ji is an emerging thought leader in sports psychology and performance coaching, helping athletes develop mental resilience, focus, and confidence. She brings a unique perspective on the psychological and emotional aspect of golf, delving into how players can cultivate mental clarity, overcome self-doubt, and harness their inner strength to improve their game. Omar ji is moderating this insightful session and conversation with a passion. He's a passionate enthusiast and writer who has explored the art, science, and philosophy of the game. With a deep understanding of sports narratives and the human experience, he will guide this discussion on how golf transcends the physical game to become a lifelong journey of self-discovery and mastery. And as Arnold Palmer once said, success in this game depends less on strength of body than upon the strength of mind and character. Today, let's explore how golf teaches us about life, focus, and the pursuit of excellence. So without further ado, please put your hands together in me, welcoming Amandeep Johl ji, Nanaki Chadha ji, and Omar Faruq Ali ji. Over to you.
Welcome to the City of Lakes, Amandeep and Nanaki. Both of you have been professional. I mean, you've been a professional golfer. Nanaki's been an amateur golfer. I would request you to tell us about your journey from professional golf to a national teaching professional to the PGTI CEO today. So, Amandeep.
Yeah, thank you, Omar. I think this is a beautiful city. I wish it could actually become the golfing capital of India with so many lakes. Unbelievable. It reminds me of Scotland,
Absolutely, and there are many locks.
Exactly.
I mean, all around
exactly. The Lake District in northern England reminds me of that. But I haven't been here too many times. This is probably my third visit. But yeah, golf has given me a lot. I think it's a wonderful game. I got lucky to be introduced into the game of golf because my father was a landscape architect who was involved in the building of Chandigarh right from the 1964. So he got involved in building the golf course there and, got to the game because we lived about 100 yards from the golf course. And things happened and I took to it, fell in love with the game, and started playing. Soon started playing for the junior team in India, and then as an amateur, and then turned professional.
Yeah, but then the European tour and the Asian tour, then that's very difficult to get to. So, I mean,
I
can you
think
please-
Chandigarh is, a very sporty city. All kinds of sport, and we've got the great legendary Milkha Singh who was there. So he was a huge inspiration. His son and we were backdoor neighbors. So that's a huge inspiration. Kapil Dev comes from Chandigarh. Great inspiration for legendary sportsmen who come from there. So you always want to, and they have achieved, and they had achieved heights which nobody could even dream of. So that got us going, that even as golfers we could become the best in the world, and that's what he used to tell us, that if you set your mind you will become the best in the world. Obviously didn't become the best, but still played golf at a pretty high level on the Asian tour and European tour.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the PGTI? What do you plan to do in India? And of course it's grown a lot, and we've got golfers going to the European tour. Veer Elawat, if I'm not wrong, went from the, you've got qualifications out of the PGTI. So can you just tell us a little bit more?
Yes, I've just gotten involved. I was on the board of the PGTI, so not on the executive role. I've just taken over as the CEO of PGTI in January. Mr. Kapil Dev is our president, so he has taken it upon himself to take golf to what cricket is. I know it's a far try, but nevertheless, I think if you don't start, you will never know where the potential can reach. So I'm going to help him help him make golf a big, we've set ourselves huge targets of taking the prize money to about 100 crores in about 5 years' time. So that's what we are intending to do in the game at PGTI. We've just announced a good schedule. We have attracted very big sponsors. Finally, the Adani Group has agreed to come on to the golfing map, which is great. So getting these kind of big corporate houses will be very, very good for the game of golf.
So Nanaki, you started out as an amateur golfer, and from there you became a psychologist. I mean, you went to the UK and studied, and since you've been there, I mean, you've been there as a sportsman, you've traveled, you've toured, and you understand what the problems are. So where can you tell us about your journey to begin with, and then where can we begin with, advising students and parents and how to go about it?
Sure, absolutely. So like you said, my journey, so golf actually paved my way to where I am today. I don't think I ever thought that I would become a sports psychologist, or my family did. My dad was pretty much against the idea, wanting a typical profession, a lawyer, doctor. But so I played on the national tour for 12, 13 years. While I would like to believe technically I was as sound as the other players, somewhere under pressure I used to crumble. I couldn't sleep the previous night, used to get butterflies in my stomach to such a great degree where I used to throw up before my round. And at that point, I could not understand, or my family could not understand what really used to happen to me. And of course, that's something that stopped me from taking it to the next level, which was professional. But during my journey, I came to understand that one aspect that was really missing was the mental aspect of the game. And that time, there was not really anyone within the country qualified. I tried finding somebody, and I was doing psychology from Delhi University, and that's when I decided, why don't I combine my passion for sports and psychology and actually give back to the sport. That's when my journey to the UK started. I was in the UK for 5-6 years and specializing in sports psychology. Yeah.
So, like when these young kids come to you, what would you advise them to do? To begin with, to become mentally strong, because we've got like a lot of cases where somebody's leading the sort of tour, and the last day he just couldn't do very much. So what does it, this anxiety which you have, winning, or even failure against failure. So what should one practice in a nutshell as an amateur? So just sort of if you could.
Yeah, sure. So of course, the mind, it's not a quick fix. It's again a muscle that I think we've not really worked upon. So when an athlete comes to me, I think the common themes that I really see within them, amongst them, is a fear of failure. And if we look at sports, or we look at just any performance aspect, I think we, as a society, as a culture, all across the world, promote this notion that an athlete or an individual should either succeed or perish, and that mediocrity is really not acceptable.
Absolutely.
So I think that whole ideology and the notion pretty much puts a lot of pressure on the athletes, which are the trigger points in today's day and age for stress, anxiety. And if we really notice the language that we use as individuals, it's often, you have to win, you must win. You cannot lose. I cannot miss that putt. I have to make that birdie putt.
Yeah.
But the question is, have to, need to, must, should are actually within research irrational way of thinking or language. It's like a do or die situation. There's no middle ground. Instead, shifting our language to just, okay, I would like to make that putt. I would prefer to make that putt. It just kind of eases the pressure.
Pressure on you,
So
right.
when kids come to me, or even when parents, because performance does not happen in a vacuum. It's all about the language that we communicate to the athlete, which is important. And same, the self-talk that the athlete does with themselves is very essential.
So Amandeep, confidence, it's got a very big role to play in golf. But again, whether it's life or golf, your confidence graph keeps on going up and down. Maybe you're very good with, you're like superb with your game, but then you fall ill, and there you are back again. Sometimes you're hitting the ball very well on the range. You're just like absolutely hitting, you're calling every ball. But there, you get onto the course in a tournament, and you just fall, the monsters show up, and you play a day-to-day round. So what is the, you've been there, so you'll be the right person to tell us about this.
Yes, golf is such a beautiful game, and it's so close to life. I think the girl said a beautiful quote from Bobby Jones, but I think the better quote from Bobby Jones is that golf is a game very close to life. You get good bounces from bad shots, and you get bad bounces from good shots, but you still have to play the ball as it lies. So I think that sums up the game, the beauty of this game. And, I was lucky to pick up the game because we fell in love with the game first.
Which I think so. It's a story.
I think as the times have passed, and parents who haven't been able to, achieve their dreams, the parents of in the 2000s, they're trying to live their dreams through their children, and that is actually putting a lot of pressure on the children. In fact, we used to go and play golf by, lying to our parents that, we are going to a friend's house and go and play golf. And, they wanted us not to play golf. But the parents of today want them to play golf. So, when you love a sport, there is no question of pressure.
True.
You are enjoying, you are going out there and having fun. And if you perform, well and good. If it don't perform, you come back and you say, okay, where did I falter? So this mind game, I feel, is when the expectations, even for a regular club golfer, you shoot a 5 pars one day over 18 holes, and you're a 18 handicapper and you made 5 pars. You want to come back the next day and the expectations have gone up that now I have to make 5 pars. Like what Nanaki said, have to.
Yes, absolutely.
So the expectation is what is the killer. Once you start to accept what's happening on the golf course and each shot will come, it is a difficult sport. You see the bat is very small and the ball is even smaller.
Absolutely.
And the sweet spot is even smaller. So we have to start accepting that fact that our body is not the same, our mind is not the same, so the weather is not the same. So just go out there and have fun, and I feel that that's when, I was watching Bryson DeChambeau playing at the DLF. So when you see a professional like that, he's just attempting shots which he knows that he can pull off. He knows that the percentage level of pulling off that shot is less than 50%. But because he wants the joy of actually attempting that shot is ensuring that the energy around him is phenomenal. And that is what we need to copy from great athletes like him.
Okay. So Nanki, like parents today, as Amandeep said, the expectations are so high and this, that and the other, and they put a lot of pressure on children. As he said, at our time, children, we were quietly going to the golf course. I was probably on squash courts or various other games, and parents said, doctor ki padhai karni hai, this, that and the other. But today it's the other way around. Parents are providing and the expectations are very high, and the blow up, sort of the children are just blowing up, not they lose interest, and they like Jennifer Capriati. I don't know, that was a typical example of a blow up. So can you just enlighten us about this blow up factor, just like how does one deal with it as a parent or as somebody who's advising people in school, or young golfers, or even sort of elderly golfers. Everybody wants to improve his game, so that's
No, absolutely. And just what Sir said and what I mentioned earlier, high expectations, having that, okay, one needs to succeed, one cannot fail. I think this whole concept about making mistakes is bad and is not acceptable. I think that's what really results in high expectations, pressure. I think the first and foremost, it's important to to kind of accept that one will make mistakes. It's normal. We are fallible beings. Nobody is perfect. Rather than really penalizing ourselves or the athlete for a mistake, I think it needs to be seen more like a learning opportunity, that you've made a mistake. What do we learn out of it, and how do we rectify it? I think that's, again, like I said, do or die situation, or a common, again, a phrase that athletes often uses, I have to succeed, otherwise it's the end of my career. But if we really say, is it really the end of their career? They will get other opportunities, but at that point in time, they've amplified it to such a great degree, which also impacts their confidence, their overall well-being.
okay.
So I think it's all about having that, not having that extreme viewpoint, but learning from our mistakes and rectifying them.
So, Amandeep, as as an we were just discussing this earlier, like golf, archery, shooting is just the right game. So, talent search, like if there's a good sportsman, for example, Australia has a setup where if they spot a good golfer at the age of 14 or 15, then he just plays golf. After that, it's the government's duty to place him. If he doesn't become a professional, he becomes a teaching professional. If not, then he becomes a school coach, or he becomes a university coach. So how far behind are we in India as compared to maybe in Australia? Or like, what do we need to do to have better golfers? Do we need more driving ranges? Do we need, more public courses? I mean, something.
Yeah, sure. I think infrastructure is, in this country is definitely lacking. Like in every other field, infrastructure is lacking. I mean, fortunately, I think our Prime Minister has made sure that infrastructure and everything else is going forward. But I was actually very happy to hear his speech in Dehradun at the National Games, where he's very emphasized on sport, well-being and health. And, that's a huge sign for us taking it forward, that, when you're Prime Minister is making sure that sport is going forward. So I feel that's where the government needs to step in and start saying that, we are going to support you in playing sport and becoming world champions. We are bidding for the 2036 Olympic Games. So that's, I think, a huge step forward. Going back to why Indians don't perform, I feel Indians don't perform because we are, processes. We are very weak in processes. even when our kids are growing up, each one is, you know, the driver is doing something else for you. The cook at the house is cooking for you. The maid, I mean, somebody's taking care of your clothes. Somebody's doing your laundry. The difference with kids abroad and kids in India is that the kids abroad are taught right from the early age that they have to manage everything. They have to manage their lives. They have to manage every bit of their lives, and they are responsible for their lives. I think if we start teaching our kids something to that effect, that will go a long way in, you know, that process is weak, and that's where, I mean, Nanaki is obviously more qualified to say it, but when you have a 6-iron coming in on the 18th hole and you need to put it next to the hole, it's the process which comes into play. True. Because if my process was strong enough, preparing for that shot, now the mind becomes dead because my process has taken over and the mind actually becomes, you know, automatic. So you really don't have to think. You have to actually, you know what they say in no mind state. Okay. So the moment the mind comes into play, so like she said, another thing very important which I noted was, she says mind is a muscle, you need to train it. So I have to train it to stop saying the chatter. So I have to get into that. So that comes from processes over years and years of training, of making sure that your mind is gone absolutely numb and you're just following the process.
So is it that, you know, like abroad you go to a coach and learn the game?
Yes.
And in India you learn the game and then go to a coach. That's you know the difference. That's what I was
you know, it's actually a myth. You know,
okay.
it's let me tell you, it's not happening abroad nor happening here. You first figure out what you like to do. You know, parents abroad, their opportunities are many. You know, they just say, okay,
yeah.
just go play.
Yeah.
You know, they take you to the pool, throw you into the pool. They take you to the park, and you're cycling, and you're in a sand bunker, you know, doing various things. And that's when, and they give opportunities to their kids, various opportunities, and figure out what is the child liking.
Okay.
And that's when they are listening to their children. I think that is very important. And like I said right from the beginning, is we are trying to live our lives through our kids. And that's wherein we are falling somewhere. I think the awareness is coming. It's not that it's not coming. Parents now are becoming more aware to give their kids more opportunities, especially in bigger cities. But I think it's not long before we actually start producing world champions.
And we've also we also have to get over little children are to be seen and not heard. That's
Yes,
really important
absolutely.
because that was something I grew up with. So Nanaki, you know, you started off with tennis. I was just reading a little bit about you, and then went on to golf, and then you become this sports psychologist. So how did you manage both, you know, studies and, you know, because that's extremely important that, you know, sort of parents today are putting pressure, padhai karo, and, you know, but actually if you like become a big cricketer or a big golfer today, you can retire at about 35. You don't need to do very much. You know, there was this, I was reading about Colin Morikawa. He said, I go to office at the age of 24 and I've got God knows how many $1 million. Let's see which corporate guy can get to where I am. So can you just tell us about how to manage your life? Because you've got to have both things alive, you know, your sports, as a sportsman, your sports, as well as a little bit of studies.
No, absolutely. It was, of course, a challenge juggling studies and sports. And I think I'll add another point to what Sir said was, I think we also have to change from the school level. You know, I don't think as many schools really promote sports. I think that's a challenge I felt. Overall, my school was supportive, but in terms of classes, attendance, that was quite a concern. But I think the only way to manage athletes and kids who are playing sports and doing academics is discipline. I think discipline is very, very key, having schedules. I think so many kids come to me and they struggle during the exams where they not playing their sport at all, and that's just because of poor management or not having a schedule. And I think that's where parents can micromanage, help them build schedules, break down tasks, because kids and athletes in general, they have so much on their plate. When it comes to doing both, it can easily get very overwhelming. So having a daily schedule, planning it in a structured way, and breaking tasks into smaller tasks is definitely the key to it.
I must add about the schedule. You know, it's interesting that when she said it. So I was obviously same. You had to get good marks in school. हमारे वो St. John's में we used to have that grading system every month, the gold card and the satisfactory, fair, and then unsatisfactory. So it was a thing in, my mother said, if you don't get the very satisfactory, the golf is shut. So I had learned how to manage. So every daylight hour, I would play sport. And the moment it became dark, I would start studying. So I learned how to manage. But you can only manage if you love the sport, that you want to play it.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, I mean, even if you do the services exam, processes, schedules, I mean, they understand schedules better than nobody else. They know that they have to succeed and pass through the exam, and they will make sure that they get there. So the goal is set, and that's when every human will figure out a way to achieve that goal. It's when you love or your focus is to achieve the goal is when you will achieve it. The problem is that you are somewhere else, your heart is somewhere else, and your mind is somewhere else, and you don't know which way you want to go.
So after 25 years of professional golf and, you know, sort of coaching and this and that, so is the fire still in the belly?
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, if somebody tells me, let's go and have a game of golf right now and play 36 holes, and then take a flight and play another 18 in Delhi, I would do it. So that is, you know, this game is lovely. Like I said, I'm in love with the game right from when I was a little kid. It really fascinated me to what all you can do with the ball. You know, that is what fascinated me. How does the ball get up in the air? How is it going to hit the green and spin back? And how can I hit a low shot, and how can I play in the wind, and how can I... So those are the factors which just intrigue me. And you know, we never had movies to watch. I think one book we had, Golf My Way by Jack Nicklaus. That also was, you know, we just read it because we wanted to, they said, oh, learn the game the proper way. But other than that, we just were having fun on the golf course. And I think if everybody has fun on the golf course, whatever level of golfer you are, it doesn't really matter. You know, again, like what she said about Bobby Jones is that it's played in the 6 inches.
6 inches.
She said 5, but my head is a little big because Sardaro ke sir bade hote hain, so mera 6 inch ka hai. So that's it.
So Nanaki, you know, like what about ambition? You know, like how do you deal with somebody who's very, you know, over ambitious and wants to do this, that, and the other, but yet doesn't meet the expectation? You know, so how would you like, you know, sort of go about, like somebody says, you know, I can do this much, but he's not actually doing that much. So how would you sort of, you know, explain that to a child, like, you know, that's not your level, or like how would you sort of...
That is quite tricky when kids come to you and you know, I had this athlete who said, okay, in 2 years I really want to go play on the European tour. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the question is how? Do we have a road map to reaching your goal, the ambition that you've set? But the question is, how do we absolutely reach there? So I think the first and foremost is realistic goals. And this is, I feel, not done, I don't do it by myself, but also bring in the coach, because I think the coach plays a key role. And I think the coach's interaction with the athlete is more regular. So I think when it comes to ambition, setting goals, making the roadmap, I think one has to work as a team. So the coach, the psychologist, I think the physical aspect with the strength and conditioning, because you have, again, in any sport, there are 4 elements to it: the technical, the mental, the physical, and the tactical aspect. We work on the others. But when all 4, mental is something now awareness is happening. But when 4 of them come together, that's when actually optimal performance is reached. So I think it's very important to bring the entire support staff and sit with the athlete to kind of make that roadmap and whether the goals are realistic and in how much timeline can you actually reach there.
So I'll open it up to the house now. So if anybody has any questions, I can pass this mic.
So we have.
Good afternoon. My name is Dilip Mehra. That's my wife, Sajit. What is the PGTI's roadmap for the next couple of years as far as promotion of golf is concerned at the level of schools and at the level of colleges?
Thank you, sir. Good question. PGTI's role, however much we like, is not for so much for promotion. We have another body called the Indian Golf Union, whose job is to, yes, he give it a thumbs down. But it's okay. We are all products of the Indian Golf Union, whether it's me or Jeev or everybody. We succeed despite the system. As Indians, we have figured it out to succeed despite the system. So whether it's a Gaganjeet or a Anirban or the Golf Union has always, and federations will always be like that. It's very easy to blame and say, you know what, my kids are not improving because the federation is bad. We will succeed despite the federation. However, coming back to whenever we go to tournaments, our interaction with the local kids, we always must have a session with the local kids. We want to make sure that we interact with them. Golfing heroes haven't happened as yet, but I think it's slowly happening with Shubhankar, with Anirban. The number of zeros in their income is making them heroes with a lot many more kids. So kids are getting attracted to that. But yes, most of PGTI professionals who don't succeed become teachers. So that is another way of interacting with the kids and trying to improve the game of golf. But yeah, PGTI's role is purely for promotion of professional golf. What our job is to make sure that we create some kind of I want to be there. I want to make sure that the kids are saying, I want to be India's #1 and have earned 2 crores in prize money. Last year, our Order of Merit winner won almost 1.5 crores. It was unheard of about 10 years ago. Our goal now is to make sure that the tour, we already announced 11 weeks in a row and we are playing for almost 15.5 crores of prize money, which means that the winner, the top guy may make almost about 50 to 60 lakhs in the first 10 to 11 weeks. So our job is to create that aspiration. And when you create that aspiration, the factory churn starts to happen. Because kids start thinking and the parents start thinking it's a livelihood that my kid can follow. If he or she is not very good in academics or any other sport, this is something that they could achieve or go for. I'm actually creating the aspiration. I'm trying to create the aspiration that, you know what, if you take up the game, you could arrive there. And by the time you get there, probably the tour has become almost 1,000 crores. That's the main job. I mean, exactly what the BCCI is doing. BCCI is also creating those aspirations that they've created IPL, wherein the moment you get onto IPL, your kid's life is sorted. So they created that aspiration. They tried grassroots level forever till Mr. Bishan Singh Bedi's time. They used to have these tournaments. But the moment they brought money into sport, where they felt that you could earn a livelihood from playing sport, there was an exponential growth in the youngsters taking up cricket. And that's exactly what we'd want to do for golf.
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम नम्रता है। सर, एक छोटा सा सवाल है कि जो खेल होता है और जनता के बीच में जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण कड़ी होती है वो है कमेंट्री। तो गोल्फ एक ऐसे खेलों में आता है दुर्भाग्यवश जिसके बेसिक शायद रूल्स भी पब्लिक को नहीं पता हो। तो जैसे आपने आईपीएल का जिक्र किया है, तो आईपीएल को इस बार आप देखिए भोजपुरी में भी लेकर आए और उसके व्यूज़ ज़्यादा मिले। तो क्या मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि क्या गोल्फ के खेल और खिलाड़ियों के साथ साथ कमेंट्री पे भी हमें जोर देना चाहिए कि थोड़ी आसान भाषा में और जनता उसे समझे, तो और रुझान भी बढ़ेगा गोल्फ जैसे खेलों की तरफ।
आई एम वेरी हैप्पी आपने हिंदी में सवाल पूछा, बिकॉज मेरा कोशिश ये
भोपाल में
है,
आपका स्वागत है।
थैंक यू। मेरा कोशिश ये रहता है कि हिंदी में भाषण दूं, वार्तालाप करूं। तो गोल्फ में क्रिकेट की तरह कमेंट्री ओवरनाइट नहीं बनी। पहले इंग्लिश की कमेंट्री होती थी और हमें समझ ही नहीं आती थी, और एक हिंदी में रेडियो पे कमेंट्री करते थे। तो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता स्टार स्पोर्ट्स ने हिंदी कमेंट्री शुरू करी, बट एवोल्यूशन है। अब गोल्फ में अगर हमने अभी कमेंट्री शुरू की है, हम उसको लाइव टेलीकास्ट कर रहे हैं और फोन पे दिखा रहे हैं, ये अभी 2 साल में शुरू हुआ है। तो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो ये एवोल्यूशन होगा अगले 4, 5, 6 साल में, तो हमारा कोशिश ये है कि ये टियर 2, टियर 3 सिटीज में, गांव में गेम जाए और वहां से टैलेंट निकल के बाहर आए, बिकॉज टैलेंट बहुत ज्यादा है हिंदुस्तान में, हम अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं दे पा रहे। लेकिन द बेस्ट पार्ट अबाउट गोल्फ इज कि गोल्फ के जो लोग खेलते हैं इसमें फिलैंथ्रोपी बहुत ज्यादा है। अगर वो देखेंगे किसी क्लब में, आप लगते हैं कि बहुत रईस लोग हैं, ये खेलते हैं वो खेलते हैं, पर उनका दिल इतना अच्छा है, वो जब भी कोई भी टैलेंट कहीं देखते हैं वो अपने दरवाजे खोल देते हैं, अपने बटुए खोल देते हैं कि आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे। दिल्ली में इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटी है, जो अच्छे खेलते हैं उनको फुल ऑन सपोर्ट मिलती है राइट थ्रू दी एंड। हमारे एक एग्जाम्पल देता हूं, शुभम जगलान एक बच्चा था, हरियाणा से आया था। हमने उसको अपनी छत्र छाया में लिया, गोल्फ फाउंडेशन के हमारे मित्र हैं अमित लूथरा करके। हमने उसको गोल्फ फाउंडेशन में लिया, हमने उसको कोचिंग दी, हमने उसको पब्लिक स्कूल में डाला। आज वो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस आपसे और मेरे से बेटर इंग्लिश में कंडक्ट करता है। फिर उसे हमने अमेरिका में भेजा। अशोक कुमार तो फिर भी ही इज नॉट वेरी गुड इन प्रोफेशन इन इंग्लिश। हमने उसको, शुभम को, अमेरिका के फ्लोरिडा यूनिवर्सिटी में भेजा है। अब वो फ्लोरिडा यूनिवर्सिटी में गोल्फ खेलता है टीम में। तो आप देखिए कि हमारे गोल्फ के जो खेलने वाले हैं उनमें फिलैंथ्रोपी की इतनी ज़्यादा वो करते हैं और सपोर्ट करते हैं जहां टैलेंट मिले। तो हिंदी में कमेंट्री होगी। हमारा ये एम है कि हिंदुस्तान में गोल्फ को हर जगह गोल्फ हो। वी वांट टू मेक गोल्फ, दैट्स माय ड्रीम, एंड आई थिंक इफ यू डोंट ड्रीम you will never achieve. I want to make India as the golfing capital of the world, and we can do it.
Question for Nanaki. First of all, thank you Amanjeet and Nanaki for both being here, and Omar to agree to being here. Why is it that for us amateurs, when we are playing our normal club golf, no matter how much you tell yourself the night before that you have to keep your head down, that you have to begin with your weight on your left leg, that you've got to bend in a particular way, that you've got to, ensure that your wrist doesn't twist, that you've got to hit the perfect swing? Why is it that at that moment, not every time, but about, say, out of 10 times, 3 or 4 times, one will, especially if there's a bunker in front and it's a short chip, or, when you're absolutely sure that you've done, you're going to reach in regulation, and just when you're all poised to, tell your folks around that, wow, what a great player I am, and I'm going to do a birdie, you either shank it, or you duff it, or something like that happens, only because, A, you've forgotten what you had researched the night before, your head moved, and, you forgot something. So why does it happen? Is it because of a lack of practice, lack of technique, or is it a psychological thing?
I'll pick on the word that you just said, mentioned, the perfect swing, I think. So, like Bob Rotella said, golf is not a game of perfect, but we all are somewhere looking for that perfect swing. We all want to make a shot, like hit that perfect shot, not make a mistake. But golf is not a game of perfect. So we, again, like Sir said, the process, but on the ball, what are we focusing more on? I should not hit a duff. I should not hit a top. That's result at the end. You're jumping the gun and reaching the result, future. So you've basically gotten distracted from the task at hand, which is just follow the process and commit and execute. So again, we are, I think, running after the perfect grip, the perfect swing, but what is perfect? There is nothing known as perfectionism. And putting that extra pressure. So if we kind of just take a step back from the perfect swing and just say, okay, follow the process on the ball, just hit. Firstly, your body will feel more at ease. I'm sure when you're with so much thought, preparation the previous night, you might be tight on the ball. Grip pressure tightens, muscle tightens, and golf is such a technical sport, you will not swing the club as freely. So it's all about the mind at the end.
I have a question to what Sir said.
Yeah.
Whether in life or in golf, how do you zone in and zone out?
Sir,
This last.
okay, this is the last question we are taking.
Yeah.
He'd-
Exactly. He's got it. The question is there.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Sorry to pin. Can I take a pass? Sure. So, in life as well as in golf, as you rightly said, it's a muscle and you need to condition it and all of that and all of that. And somehow we know all of that. But I just want to know why it happens that when you are in a certain zone, you are able to play no matter what grip, no matter what you do, everything will happen in exactly what you've thought. And when you are not in that zone, I mean, there are a lot of things that work on your mind, your heart, your emotions, your feelings, whatever. So basically what I want to understand is what is it that you can do to practice to zone in and zone out. So when you are playing golf, you're only playing golf. When you're not playing golf, you're not playing golf, and which is a very difficult thing to do. So, sir, love and madness, ishq और पागलपन में बड़ा कम फर्क है. So that's what I would like to know. Thank you.
I wish I had a simpler answer to that, but if we see within our environment, there'll be two kind of factors. Factors that we can control and factors we cannot control. Exactly. So if you see not in control, often if we look at the golf course, the weather, conditions, what are co-players doing, pace of play. I think a lot of people get really angry with pace of play if the group in front of us is playing slowly. And we're like, our game got spoiled because of them. They are playing slowly. Or the caddy made a mistake or a wrong decision. So all these factors, if you see, are not within our control. We can't do anything about it. So when we zone out, that means we are distracted. A particular factor within our environment has triggered us, which has taken our focus away from what we need to do. So to zone in, it's all about the things that are within our control. So the decision making, the process, what you need to do on the ball. So to zone in, it'll be always factors that are in your control, which you can do 100%. And zoning out will usually happen when your mind shifts to factors that you can't do anything about. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you so much, audience, for being such a lovely audience and our panelists. So now we move on to a more interactive thing, which is a quiz question. So we have one quiz question for the audience, and whoever answers, we are giving away a good book by Dale Carnegie. So the question is very simple. It's related to the topic, but there's a rule that you have to raise your hands before answering the question. If you answer without raising your hands, we'll disqualify, unfortunately. So, so the question is, what is the term for scoring one stroke under par on a hole? Please I said yes. So I think we have to disqualify this question because you have to raise your hand and then I'll come to you. I have to come to you. Yes. Yes. So, sir, would you like to give any quiz question if Nanki ma'am or sir has for the audience?
I can elaborate on that similar.
Okay, sure.
What is 3 strokes below par?
Okay. Yes, please raise your hands. Okay.
Is it a birdie, eagle, albatross? Albatross. Albatross.
Okay, ma'am.
It is albatross.
Reading was Everest.
So, ma'am, I would request you to please come on. So, please come on the stage.
You know, when we used to muck up in school, हम जो भी क्वेश्चन आता वो पूरा ही लिख देते थे तो हमने कहा यार कहीं ना कहीं तो सही होगा.
I would request if both of you can come on the stage and share this book. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for this thing, and it was a wonderful session, I must say. And now we move on towards. Yeah, now I will. And now I would request our president of the society, Mr. Raghav Chandraji, to please come on the stage with Reema Hujaji, our member of the society, to give the memento and do the felicitation ceremony. As we conclude this deeply enriching session, I would request the esteemed speakers to receive this token of gratitude from our side. Padma Shri Bhil artist Bhuri Bai has created this artwork. Padma Shri Bhil artist Bhuri Bai has created this artwork for BLF 2025 depicting the connection between nature, earth, the human being and the environment and the circularity inherent and imperative to our existence. To our incredible speakers, thank you for sharing such wisdom, creativity and insights. You have deeply inspired us. This memento is a tribute to your contributions and the lasting impact of your words on our hearts and minds. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.